Let me take you through the most painful yet transformative experience of my life. I'm a man in my 50s, and this is the story of how my ex-wife betrayed me, lied to me, and shattered the illusion of the life we built together. It's a long story, but one that I hope will resonate with anyone who's endured the sting of betrayal. My ex-wife and I were together for many years. She was in her 40s when the events I'm about to share unfolded. The story begins when she went on a trip to visit her parents. On her return flight, she was seated next to a young man in his 20s, a fresh graduate headed to our city for an internship. They struck up a conversation and exchanged numbers, discovering that their parents were part of the same social circle back home. When I picked her up from the airport, she introduced him to me, calling him a fine young man who could use some help settling into the big city. She suggested we include him in our family activities to make him feel less alone. I thought nothing of it and agreed. We invited him over for lunches and dinners on weekends, took him to the beach with our kids, and even had him join us for family outings. Sometimes, my wife would go shopping or watch movies with him, movies she claimed I wouldn't enjoy. Occasionally, she even took him to parties hosted by her friends, sparing me from the company of people I didn't like. I stayed home with the kids, grateful for the time to myself, completely oblivious to what was really happening. For 6 months, this young man was a regular part of our lives. What I didn't know was that every opportunity they had, my wife and this young man were secretly sleeping together. Looking back, there were signs, but at the time, I was too trusting, or maybe too naive, to see them. When his internship ended, he returned to our hometown, and I thought that was the last I'd hear of him. Little did I know, they stayed in touch. The young man, apparently smitten with my wife, clung to the illusion that they'd someday reunite. A few years later, my wife and I divorced, not because of her cheating, as I still didn't know the full extent of her betrayal, but because of her narcissistic behavior. Living with her had become unbearable. If you've ever lived with a narcissist, you'll understand how emotionally draining it can be. After our divorce, friends began filling in the gaps of my understanding. One particularly talkative friend revealed my wife's affair with the young man, complete with all the sordid details. Apparently, she'd bragged to her girlfriends about having a toy boy, 20 years her junior, relishing in the thrill of it all. As if that wasn't enough, the young man himself sent me a collection of explicit photos of my ex-wife. There was no message, just photos. Some were taken in our bedroom, others in the living room, and some in what I assume was his apartment. These weren't just posed nudes, some were graphic and clearly taken during their encounters. I didn't respond to his message or confront my ex-wife about it. By then, the damage was done, and I was too emotionally drained to engage. But the revelations didn't stop there. Friends came forward with stories of other affairs my wife had during our marriage. She'd been unfaithful multiple times, expertly hiding her tracks while I worked tirelessly to provide for our family. The realization that I'd been living a lie was devastating. What hurt the most wasn't the cheating itself, it was the betrayal of trust. I believed I had a partner and best friend for life, only to discover she was someone I didn't truly know. The humiliation and anger weren't just directed at her but also at myself for being so blind. The financial fallout of the divorce took years to clean up, and the emotional scars never fully healed. But over time, I learned to live with the pain and, in some ways, I grew stronger because of it. My kids, thankfully, have grown up to be wonderful people. They've stayed close to me but have distanced themselves from their mother. As for my ex-wife, she's continued her lifestyle. She's had one main partner while sleeping around, and there are rumors of her participating in threesomes and exploring her sexuality. A mutual friend recently informed me that my ex-wife was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. While it might explain some of her behavior, it doesn't excuse the pain she caused. Today, I remain single. Trusting another woman feels impossible after everything I've been through. Friends still try to update me on my ex-wife's escapades, but I've stopped caring. If anything, this ordeal taught me who my real friends are, and who they aren't. My story isn't just about betrayal, it's about growth, resilience, and finding strength in the face of unimaginable pain. For anyone out there who feels like they can't move on after such betrayal, remember this: you're stronger than you think.